Welcome to Seattle Boat Show Live. I am your co-host, Peter Schrappen, joined with my co-host, Denise Whitaker of Como. Oh, wait, no, that's last week.
Peter.
Getting confused.
Like
I'm getting confused here. So that is a reference to last week's Seattle Boat Show Connected, where Denise Whitaker and I hosted 36 hours of live entertainment.
The marathon. You guys rock.
We had a
right on through.
Yeah, fortunately, Denise is a great sport and put up with all my antics. Hopefully she's not in too much therapy after spending that much concentrated time with me, but we shall see. But it's good to be back with you, Mark. How's it going?
It's going great, Peter. I mean, it was an interesting 4-day boat show, quite a bit different. And I have to say, I think it really worked well, and we'll talk about that. But I did miss the face-to-face with my customers, my friends, other associates in the industry. And that's a missing part now of this part of the year.
You know, I've been doing a lot of reading about just how people are missing each other, especially those what are called weak ties, strong ties. People are still finding time to walk around Green Lake or go see each other at the dock, but it's those weak ties out there that you only see once a year that we definitely are missing out on with COVID-19. And I think there's a lot of relationships where people only see the seminar speakers or other friends once a year, and that's at the Seattle Boat Show. And even an online show that was flawless with our execution technically doesn't make up for that those in-person connections. But yeah, we called it Seattle Boat Show Connected, and the good news is, hi Landons.
Hi.
Speaking of the Seattle Boat Show Connected, you were all over the place with the seminars, and you were omnipresent. Yeah, as was Mark.
Great. We had a lot of feedback from people, and good chat sessions and things were coming in. It was very interesting.
The other thing I missed, Peter, was all that exercise walking around the show. Normally I'm left, right, and all over the darn show, and I missed that extra exercise.
Yeah, good point, Mark. I normally get 25,000 steps there easily, and I looked at my step count today. I had 4,000 negative. I had negative 32,000. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I did a lot of sitting. Almost like a cab driver. One of those beads that the cab drivers have. That was I did so much sitting. But I think it's safe to say that it met/exceeded our expectations this year, given the amount of the boats that we sold and the accessories, and we had a delightful time. We've incredible feedback we've heard thus far, and there was a really nice article, and I can put it in the chat box in a little bit, but we had a really nice article. I've got it right here, and I could just go through a few of the numbers, Mark, if you don't mind.
Oh, let's go for it. I think people are interested in knowing.
As my sister would say, if you don't toot your own horn, no one else will. So don't toot here. We had 5,000 visitors who actually bought tickets. That was at least at the $5 level. And I will underscore that those tickets are available. You can still access all the great seminars up through Sunday. If you have a ticket already in hand, you can upgrade and take advantage of all those recordings. And Mark, you can get to that a little bit, but we had over 300,000 page views, 218 businesses exhibited, 364 products were uploaded, 7,500 plus images that can be favorited, the videos, the Matterport scans, the walking of the red carpet, the giant pirate ship that you loved, Mark, I know.
I did.
The treasure hunt, the selfie station. Most, if not all of that, is still available at seattleboatshow.com. And I know it's important to you, Mark. You can actually still watch the 36 hours of Denise and I in our 80 plus interviews throughout the course of those 4 days. So don't worry, Mark, that's still there.
Well, I got to see a little bit of it. You even brought me on to fill some dead time, I think.
Oh, it wasn't dead time. We invited you to our party, and it was a fun
But
endeavor.
I had to follow Chef Ethan Stowe and your piece of how to do crab cakes. That was we ought to have him on Seattle Boat Show.
Yeah, we could arrange that. Yeah, have our people talk to his people.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, talk to me about Boat Show University and how that was rolled out and what's
well, like everybody else, we had our concerns ahead of time, how it was all going to come together and getting all of our instructors together. And our instructors are all over the country. Nigel Calder did his classes from Maine, and we brought them together with his Q&A, and that came on, and we had Lori and Greg Bernard in Canada. And they actually did their entire thing live rather than any pre-record. But the classes were all very, very well attended, and the questions that came in were good. I had kind of expected more questions, but the questions we got were good that we had. And George Harris and I were on the phone today already talking about the next show, and which will probably be, I shouldn't pre-announce, but the Anacortes Boat and Yacht Show in May. And we're trying to make the decision as to what the format of that show is going to be. And a lot of that will be based upon what we learn. And Peter, I'll even say, I think we learned a lot just doing Seattle Boat Show Live in terms of the format and so forth. It was a good learning experience all the way around. But on the whole, I can't wait till we get back to a face-to-face live boat show.
Amen. I think about when the Black and Whites went to talkies, and I think about the Anacortes show June 25th and 26th to what we put on together last week. And I mean, what the transition, the transformation, the fun that we were able to inject, I think was a sight to behold. I think people from around the country and around the world took notice.
Yes.
And we were able to demonstrate that we know what we're doing out here in the Pacific Northwest once again with a world-class boat show. So that was a lot of fun to be a part of that.
Well, and not that money matters, but money matters. But I was pleasantly surprised at how many people spent $49 and $89 to attend those seminar programs. We've been doing these seminars now, Boat Show University, for 18 years. We've done the other seminars. We really broke it out that Alicia Wartell has been organizing. And we've been known around the country as the top boat show for quality and breadth of seminars. And we knocked it out of the ballpark again. It was really, really good.
Yeah, and Mark, for those, I did not stick around. I actually went home and went to bed. But last Thursday, you had a real legend in the industry, Sam Devlin.
Yeah,
and we talked geocaching, and then I stepped away and let you have it. And can you talk a little bit about what that was like to interview Sam?
I didn't mess it up. Well, Bruce is a pretty special person to the NMTA, and he was very influential in introducing me to Northwest boating, and as a writer for Northwest Yachting, Bruce was managing editor, and we've gotten in all kinds of trouble together. And we did keep that going. I mean, he showed some amazing things that are available from the Weather Service, and how this weather forecasting and computing power is getting more and more focused on this, and just getting more accurate and more days out. And you can see how the potential is there. And as a cruiser, I love it, because the last thing I want to do is get caught out on some of my little ocean crossings and get into trouble, or leading a group of people get into trouble. And Bruce showed us what that's all about.
Bruce Hedrick, Seattle Boat Show Live alumnus.
Yes.
Yep.
And we had him on one night. He showed us that, and he went into deeper detail in his class. And that class is still available for those who want to take a look at it.
Yeah, and as we kind of close the conversation here, I just remind people that if you have that ticket in hand, those classes are still available through Sunday. You can always upgrade, but you need to already have that registration info. So
and that is only till Sunday. So given a choice, Super Bowl or Seattle Boat Show University, I don't know what you'd want. So anyway, I've been watching playback some of the seminars while I've been working this week, and I'm pleased and proud. We did a great job.
Awesome. No, yeah.
Hey, Mark, on the chat, I just see someone's asking when they get their copy of the Waggoner Guide for those that went to the Admiral level.
Yeah, so one of the things, those that bought at the $89 level got a whole menu of things.
I got this, Mark. I got this. Let me see if I can do this. You got the recordings through Sunday. You got the Boat US membership, which included the towing part. You got C Magazine.
Yep.
And you got a Waggoner cruising guide. And actually, you got an invite to Mark Bunzel's home for a big party. No, I'm kidding about that last one. But
Super Bowl party.
I think and you got admittance into the show and take advantage of the red carpet and all that good stuff. So that's what came at the $89 Admiral level.
Yeah, so to answer Leonard's question, we're going to be starting to ship those next week. And we've got quite a few to ship, including quite a few to Canada. So there were over 1,000 people, well over 1,000 people that bought at the Admiral level that will be getting a courtesy Waggoner Guide. So,
yeah, Mark, I've got a question for people just tuning in. We're going to do an update with the land-ins, and then we're going to jump to our special guests who are coming to us live from Canada or from Alaska. Isn't that right?
That's right. This is all part of our series, Living the Dream. And we met Elizabeth and Sean with Motor Vessel Freedom, and we're going to be meeting others that are living the dream, and including, I'm hoping to reach out to some of my cruising friends down in the Virgin Islands at some point. But other people, the Landons took some time years ago and did their Living the Dream tour of Mexico as well as Alaska. So this really hits a spot. Many of us, myself included, would just like to sell the house, sell the lawnmower, sell all the cars, and get on the boat and go. And we're going to hear about a couple that decided to make a right turn when they went out, and they went right to Alaska. They went during the COVID issue, so they're going to talk about how they went through the border area in a legal way, and which is our number one question we get asked every week. When will the border open, and how do I get to Canada? And they'll tell you how they did it. No guarantee that'll work now, so but they're living the dream, and they're calling in tonight from
Wrangell, Alaska. Yeah.
I almost said Petersburg.
I get it. Well, Landon's, what do you say we get to the updates?
Yeah, we got a few here. Just in Hood Canal, there's a couple of things going on there. One of them is the Navy testing lights in Dabob Bay. Two of them aren't working, so they're asking you to call the Dabob Bay Control for status of the naval exercise area in Dabob Bay. And I'll put on the chat here, I'll put the telephone number for that if you need that. And the other one is, this is one of these things that's going on now through the end of next week, and they're doing military water drops over there. And I assume this is helicopters or other things. And I think they're dropping personnel and on exercise. It's one of the things that they of course want you to stay away from the area, but I want to be near enough that I can see one of these days. But that's going on right now.
Leonard, they're water balloons. They're just water balloons. But they're very, very expensive water balloons.
Okay, well, I want to see it. So, but one of these days. So it's going on right now through the end of the week, daylight hours, not on the weekend. The other one is, this is a long-term, but it's for planning for your summer. Mark this on the calendar, and that is the months of August and September. The Montlake Cut Bridge will only be opening twice each day, once at 10 a.m. and once at 5 p.m. They must be doing some maintenance on that, but again, this is for almost all of the months of August and almost all of September, or excuse, I should say all of September. And again, only twice a day, that's it, for opening that bridge. It'll be open for traffic underneath the bridge, so if you don't need the bridge to open for you, then you can still transit. But if you need that bridge open for a large mast or something, twice a day, August and September. And the other one I wanted to, this is a future one as well. Coming up right now, certificate of documentation from the U.S. Coast Guard. They're good for 1 year. And in the last year or so, you've had the option of going for more than 1 year, 1 to 5 years. Effective January 22nd, they've now said it's 5 years, period. So after this, they'll be for 5 years. And of course, the price stays the same, multiplied by the number of years. But you expect that, right? And then the other one is a quick one. This is, if you're looking for, this surprised me. I got an email update from Elliott Bay Marina, and I was amazed when they listed, they said they have slips available now, 32, 36, 40 feet, 46, and a few 47. And I was just amazed. I had to call to verify that. And indeed, they do have a few of them available. They said they'll be full by April 1st. But if you're looking for a slip in any of those size categories, give them a call now. This is a rare thing right now in this area to have slips available, and especially a premier place like Elliott Bay Marina. So,
yep, and mom, that's the marina that's out in front of Palisades with the tree inside and the koi inside of. So that's that special place that, no doubt about it. That is hard to believe, Leonard.
It is.
It is. I just read that and I went, are you kidding me?
One of our favorites.
Well, talking about the border, we know it's closed until February 21, but highly likely will be extended. And it's going into Canada is for essential business only. And even so, you still need to quarantine for 14 days, even if you have had the vaccination and even if you have a negative COVID test. So you still need to quarantine, and that's likely to continue into the 2021 boating season. Canadians are no longer allowed to travel to their second home outside of Canada. So that's a new policy. They can't do that until April 30th. Let's see, the latest news, cruise ships are banned from traveling to ports now in Canada and won't be able to enter ports in Canada until February 28, 2022. So no cruise ships for 2021. And of course, this affects cruise ships going to Southeast Alaska, or at least many of them, because they use Canadian ports for their trips, to make their trips possible. However, we've heard that some of these cruise lines are asking that they make amendments or please make some changes to this ban. So it's ongoing and we will see what comes of that.
Anything else for Peter?
Anything else, Peter? Do you have any more news on that regard?
Anything in the legislative?
Well, I testified today on a whale watching bill around licensing whale watch boats. That's not typically a Northwest Marine Trade Association issue, but we like the fact that these whale watching vessels, by and large, play that sentinel role. There are a signal to boaters to stay away, and so we have been supportive of the Pacific Whale Watching Association, the Northwest Whale Watching Association. So I testified today. I wore a shirt and tie, Mark, and jammy bottoms and slippers.
Wow.
And, testified in front of the legislature. I'm sure they were probably all in the same get up as well. So yeah, that's always a unique experience because the legislative session is in full effect and it's also virtual. I continue to push forward on this chartering issue that I've been discussing for the past couple of weeks. It's still alive, or the last couple of months. That has to do with skipper provided charter vacations in our state, and looking to unlock some boating in that regard and around marine tourism. So yeah, that's still happening.
Well, we're glad you're watching it and we're glad you're there, even if it is in your jammies.
Shirt and tie up top, Mark. Let's not forget the important part.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, all good on my front.
Good.
Yep.
Well, we've got two very exciting guests, and I'm going to let Leonard and Marina announce them and introduce them. And I'm very excited because when I heard about this, I said, we need to share this with our viewers. This is living the dream, right?
Right. We're pleased that Jim and Rosy Addington are joining us tonight. They live aboard their 54-foot vessel, Sea Venture, which they totally refitted and are currently cruising in Southeast Alaska during the winter months. So we look forward to hearing all about that. They're experienced boaters. They've been cruising for several decades. After raising their family and completing their careers, they now cruise with their two cats, Barkley and Blake. We hope you have pictures of your cats. So Rosy and Jim, please join us. And they're here to share some of their adventures. Hi, welcome.
Now they look like they're living the dream. Look at them smiling.
Coiffed hair and yeah.
Peter and I are worried about making a mortgage payment, and the two of you are there in Wrangell.
Yeah, exactly. We are in Wrangell, having a great time cruising the winter up here.
We might start out with how you made the transfer through BC Waters.
Yeah, everybody wants to know.
I want to know how Seattle Boat Show Live helped you get through the Canadian border and everything.
It did. In fact, we came up the first week of July, actually left the U.S. waters on July 1st, Canada Day.
2019.
No, last year, 2020.
2020, yeah.
Had a little bit of struggle at first. They didn't want to let us in when we called. There was uncertainty about whether the trip needed to be essential or could the trip be because we wanted to go to Alaska cruising and just transit through Canada and only make essential stops. And I think that still is open to interpretation depending on which customs agent you might speak with in Canada. And so at first we got a little uncertainty and
no, we got a solid no.
We got a solid no.
Do not come. And if you do come, we will turn you around and send you back.
Yes.
That's what we got. We were not excited about that.
And this is literally hovering in the water close to the border.
Where were you where did you enter Canada?
So we entered in Van Nuys Marina, just north of Sydney. But before we went there, we went back to our notes from the July 11th webinar, June 11th webinar, where you had Craig Norris.
Craig Norris,
From the Victoria International Marina on board, and it said, and he said, if you have any problems, call me. So realize this is on Canada Day, a national holiday. We call, and they laughed and said, Craig's not here. It's a holiday. But here's his cell phone number. So,
wow. I'm surprised somebody
we
didn't
called
get
him on his
fired.
cell phone. He said, stay put. Let me make some calls. Text me so I have your contact information. So we did, and pretty soon he had made some contacts with I think some of the manager folks level, supervisory level at Canadian Customs, and said, no, it should be okay, just go. So we went to Van Nuys that evening and had no difficulty at all. But we did transit up in 5 travel days. We never stepped foot off the boat. So we didn't have to stop for food or fuel or anything like that. We did.
And you carry how many gallons of fuel on your trailer?
So yeah.
We carry a lot, plenty.
2,200 gallons of diesel on board. So yeah,
that's the sound of my mom falling out of her chair.
Well, here's the other even better part. We used 242 gallons transiting from Washington to Alaska. So
wow.
Just a little bit over 10% of our fuel.
Wow.
But and our trip up included one 40-hour run, but we just religiously followed the rules and did what we need. I think the hard part today, I think the same rules are in place last I looked, is just a variety of different interpretations about what it might mean crossing the border. And who can and who cannot and stuff. So I think you just have to kind of stay in tune to that.
I like how you're
the rules can change at any time, so come now.
I like how you're going to sell Craig Norris's cell phone number to the highest bidder tonight. That's a good one.
I still
Auction
have
going.
He's going to be ringing my phone tomorrow morning, probably at about 5 a.m. I'm kind of curious, what happened then when you crossed the U.S. border into Alaska?
Okay, so we just used the Roam app and did it while we were in the water in Dixon Entrance, and it was perfectly fine. After years of having to go to Ketchikan, when we might not want that to be our first stop, it no longer has to be your first stop because you clear customs by the app now on the phone.
And customs had nothing to do with the COVID regulations or any quarantine or anything like that. Customs was not playing that role. It would be at the state level. And in Alaska, it was handled by the harbor master. So we made a point of, after we cleared customs, to spend some time in the Ketchikan vicinity at anchor for our 14 days. And then once we had had a full 14 days in our quarantine time, then we went to Ketchikan to get cleared by the harbor master for the COVID.
And did they actually ask where you had quarantined, and was he looking for any documentation of that?
Not documentation.
They did not. They just wanted to confirm that we had left Washington 14 days before and we hadn't been off the boat or around anybody else. And since we got up to Alaska in only less than half that time, we toured Misty Fjords for a week before going to Ketchikan.
Very south of Ketchikan.
Yeah.
Yes, which is a great location to go to anyway. One of my favorites. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So now you got into Southeast Alaska. Were you intending on just spending the season, or was the intention to just keep going right through the winter?
No, well, actually, we should go back to the original intention is that right now we would be in La Paz, Mexico.
Yeah.
I think you missed the turn.
Yeah. We turned
Waggoner cruising guide
right instead of left. But I don't know that we thought, God, that would be interesting to stay in Alaska for the winter, but really, the winter?
And the other piece is that we used to have live aboard moorage in Everett, and we had relinquished our slip, and that's hard to come by. So we really didn't want to come back, actually. So I think we were okay with staying up there.
staying.
It was just a matter of where.
Yeah, yeah. And the weather wasn't very good, frankly, this year for July and August. It was very windy, very rainy this year. Yeah. And we realized it, you know, we would have to transit back to go back to Washington. And we don't have anywhere to go in Washington.
Yes.
And we love Puget Sound, but I wasn't looking forward to the idea of cruising around in circles in Puget Sound for the winter. So we made the decision to stay, and it worked out great, actually, because September and October were absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And where did you go? Where have you been in Southeast Alaska on this trip?
So we've been all around Baranof Island and out to Sitka and around the southern end of Baranof Island in August, which this year turned out not to be a great place to be. But we got to put the boat and ourselves to a test.
Yeah.
Did you go in the hot springs?
It's an interesting way to
We
put it.
did.
Baranof Warm Springs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, to the hot springs.
How
and
hot were
all
they?
around the Wrangell area and down to Annan, of course, the Bear Observatory,
Mhm.
up to the end of Bradfield Canal, somewhere where nobody goes, where we had a great encounter with a whole group of
whales.
humpback whales at the head of the bay.
Really? Huh.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and had a great time there. And then all around the Petersburg area and Frederick Sound. We did not make it this summer to Glacier Bay, but we spent a week in Glacier Bay in 2018 and never saw a cloud. So we weren't sure we could repeat that
It was.
this year, not this year. But
So is Sitka on a future plan to get out to the
Well,
west?
we did get
yeah,
out
and
there.
we did get out to Sitka. We've always
okay.
really enjoyed Sitka. It's always just it's a great cruise out Peril Strait.
Yeah.
Yes.
This year we went out Peril Strait. 2018 we came up the outside on Baranof Island.
What's downtown Sitka like? Is it without the cruise ships going and coming? Is there the
Well, that's
bookstores?
it right there.
Yeah.
That's the key, right?
Well-
Is that there is a cruise ship dock now in Sitka, but it's 5 or 6 miles out of town and it's a small dock. But this year, of course, there were no cruise ships anywhere. But you know, Sitka has a real small town little feel to it. And I think the towns, from a cruiser's perspective, the towns where the cruise ships are, Ketchikan and Juneau, feel like they're cruise ship towns. Those towns were significant portions were closed down for this last summer.
And it looks like for this one as well.
And it looks like, you know, for
Yeah.
this coming summer.
Interesting. Okay, so I have to ask, and we'll get into the details a little bit. Whenever you want, put your pictures up. They're just outstanding.
And I'd
And I
encourage people
should
to
mention-
use the chat function at home, folks. If you have any questions, I'd like
Oh,
to
yeah.
use that for sure. We
Okay.
can take those questions.
So let's see if I try
Share.
to share screen.
Addington, can you talk about your boat a little bit? The dimensions of the boat, how well it works for Alaska cruising? That's from Thatcher Harvey.
Sure. So see if I can get this started. Oh, it's going to start in the middle, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It's just a loop of pictures from this summer and this winter cruising and stuff that we took. These are actually all just
And-
photos out of our YouTube videos that we've made. But
Yeah, I didn't mention that yet, and let's talk about that also before you go on to Peter's question. You have now done some 35 or 37 episodes on YouTube, right?
okay, actually 75, Mark.
Oh, I'm behind. I'm behind. But I have to say, they are well done, well produced. They're enjoyable to watch. They're down to earth. And again, you say that numerous times, you want to encourage people to do the same thing, to go off and live the dream, and you make it look like it's doable. Now, that is a transition to tell us about Sea Venture, your boat. By the way, the YouTube videos are The Adventures of Sea Venture.
Cruising
And-
Sea Venture.
Say it again.
Cruising Sea Venture.
Cruising Sea Venture, thank you. And just outstanding. I highly recommend it. If you want to eat up hours and hours of good television, go Sea Venture. Go ahead, talk about Sea Venture. It's
Sure,
an
so-
incredible boat.
It is a different. Sea Venture is actually 41 years old. She's a 1977 Choi Lee long-range trawler. So designed and built for ocean travel, really in a time where that was still a question of whether you could build or do such a thing, whether you could reasonably cross oceans in a power boat. So she carries a lot of fuel, has about a 4,300 nautical mile range, carries 1,200 gallons of fresh water plus a water maker on board. Weighs about 45 tons. She's our home. She's quite comfortable. Since we bought her, we've made some extensive changes. We added the complete aluminum superstructure and paravane structure, did a major electrical upgrade this year, added a new swim platform to make that really nice back there, redid a new galley, so lots of interior stuff.
It's kind of like a home, you know, there's all the little, everybody has something that they want to change or adjust or do. And so we've certainly tweaked her to make her more comfortable for us and more, just make her work for us. So.
Yeah.
And you point out that some places your fiberglass is 5 inches thick.
That is correct.
Yes,
In
yes.
the front third of the boat.
Wow.
It's about 5 inches thick and tapers back to about 1.5 inches thick on the sides toward the stern.
Jim, I noticed on your website your website it says that you did the cabinet work in the galley area.
I did. I started with a pile of raw teak lumber and made the cabinets that are in the galley. So,
well, from the pictures they look gorgeous. Very well done.
Did a beautiful job.
Well,
thank you. I go painfully slow, but
Well, it's worth it. And I'll point out that in addition to your water maker, Roxy, you should be pointing out with pride that you have a washer and dryer on board, a real one. And I think
we do have a full size. Yeah, we do have a full size washer dryer. One of the rules when before I could convince Rosie to live aboard, she said, you know, camping's not a lifestyle choice I'm making. So there's going to be a list of rules. And one of them was, I'm not going to a laundromat at this point in my life. So
good rule. Good rule.
I'm thinking it's still solid. So
Yeah.
that and a walk around bed, those were the key ones, you know. Wasn't
They're on
gonna
the wish
climb
list
over anybody. So
for my expo.
yeah.
And Jim, there was a question in the chat about cell phone coverage in Southeast Alaska.
yeah, there isn't any. So there's you get cell coverage in the areas right where the towns are, and maybe 4 or 5 miles out of town. And if you have a cell phone booster, maybe a little bit further. But for the most part, there's very limited cell phone coverage in Southeast Alaska. You know, there's not going to be cell phone towers out in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to spend the summer cruising and talking on the phone. And if I may mention just briefly, I think communications is one of the things about cruising Southeast Alaska that's different. And it's not only the less cell phone coverage, it's that, you know, you have these pockets where channel 16 doesn't raise anybody. And the Coast Guard's been up here struggling a little bit this year with the repeater towers not even working. So they've got a little broader areas where they can't reach and stuff. But we have.
This is a request to you. If you could update us a little bit on that, we've put that in our Waggoner Guide updates table as one of the things that people should watch out for, because we did get word of this, that a number of the repeater towers are out right now.
Yes. So they actually are recommending up here you carry another form of communication, like an Iridium Go or a Garmin InReach or something.
Right.
We have both on board, an Iridium Go and Garmin InReach that we use.
I was going to add, that was one of my questions too. What do you, we use InReach quite a bit. We have not used Iridium Go. Since you've used both of them, do you recommend one over the other, or do both, or one or the other?
Well, they're different, right? So I tell you what we do with each of them, right? The
Sure,
Iridium
yeah.
Go, we occasionally use it as a satellite phone, but not that often. But it links with Predict Wind really well, and we utilize Predict Wind for our weather forecasting, and so it downloads seamlessly Predict Wind to our computer. The Garmin InReach we use for texting and texting with our kids all the time.
And tracking.
And yeah, if we get to plug our website, cruisingseaventure.com, in the upper right corner, it says click here to see where Sea Venture is and the weather right now live. And that's using our InReach with Predict Wind to provide that information.
Interesting. So what have been some of your, call it surprising experiences, whether that be wildlife or fishing or eating? What are some of the experiences you've had that just blew you away?
We've had a remarkable wildlife year this year, as far as just the variety of wildlife that we've seen. Part of it, I think, might be the lack of cruising boats in Alaska this year. There, it used to be that you'd go into an anchorage and there were 4 or 5 or 6 boats in a larger anchorage. And, we've gone to a lot of the popular anchorages and we've been by ourselves. And it was really unusual to come across another cruising boat. So that was part of it. And I think that might have been what brought out some more of the wildlife too. We saw our first bear swimming by the boat. So that was kind of cool.
Well, while we were anchored, we looked out the window and there's a grizzly 10 feet away swimming by.
Brown bear.
Brown bear, coastal brown bear.
Yeah, they like those new swim platforms like you put out.
We didn't have that problem, fortunately.
And I think compared to other years, we saw more humpback whales this year. They were just everywhere. And I think we went through a period where they were bubble feeding almost every day, seeing humpback whales.
Wow.
Is that one shot of you anchored out at Pybus Bay by chance?
I
Maybe
don't know
not.
if we have one in the slide.
Okay,
but,
yeah, it looked like it.
From a drone shot?
Yes, right.
Yeah. So I think that's St. John's Harbor, actually, relatively close here to Wrangell at the south end of the Wrangell Narrows. And where we're a little bit too close to the shallows.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize it till we're looking in the drone video as with the drone up in the air going, oh.
Questions are coming fast and furious in the chat, which we love. I'm going to ask a few of them from Alex. My fear was anchoring, especially in deep water. Have you had any problems dragging anchor?
We have not had any trouble dragging anchor. And quite frankly, this year, particularly August, September, have been a lot of windstorms. And even with that, we have, with some deeper anchorages, 80 and 100 feet, we have not had any dragging issues.
Okay. Mark Onetto would like to know, any special problems related to the snow on the boat, weight, radar, covered with snow, others?
Couple things.
Let's talk about weather just a minute.
We got a plastic shovel because it's what all the commercial fishermen have on their boat to shovel snow. So when it's gotten 5 or 6 inches deep, we've shoveled. We do have in our Benemy top a sewn 600 watts of solar panels sewn into our Benemy top. And so we covered those with a tarp just so we could get up there and, brush it off without potentially doing any damage to the solar panels. But otherwise, that's been about it.
Okay.
On the other hand, it's hardly snowed this year. It has been a remarkably mild winter, and we've only had a couple of accumulations of snow so far.
Yeah.
Another question, did you have to quarantine when switching from one port to another port in Southeast Alaska?
No. Okay. No. Once we at first in the summer, once we left Ketchikan, they said, well, where are you coming from? And we said Ketchikan, and they said, okay, fine. But so it seemed like once we were here, that was fine. But who knows whether any of that's going to change or not. But no, that was not an issue. We did this summer though specifically avoid going to the smaller native villages. Because
that's the next question. Yep. Any restrictions to access Native American communities such as Hoonah because of COVID?
We did not go to Hoonah this year specifically because of that, though we did in 2018 go there.
We didn't, and we also did not go to like Cake and some of the others. We do know of boaters who needed water, and so they did go into those communities and did not have any trouble.
We were trying to balance the, am I allowed to go and am I invited? Am I welcomed?
Yeah.
And if we felt like if they were going to be uncomfortable, we don't want to be in the position of making someone else uncomfortable. So we bypassed that and then just stuck with where really, if you think of where the Alaskan ferries go, we thought that would be good. So.
Okay. Kim Wickens, does one of your YouTube videos show the galley cabinet rebuild? I built all the cabinets for my wife's kitchen, so I must see.
No.
That's proprietary.
One of them does have a little tour. So.
Yeah, we didn't make a video. So we do the cruising videos, and then we do what we call tech talk videos, which are just kind of technical in nature, because if I go off on a tangent talking about something technical on a cruising video, Rosie cuts me off and tells me that has to be in a separate video so she doesn't have to see it.
Now.
But we did not do a tech talk video on the cabinet rebuild.
It was over a course of years.
No, 2
2
years.
or 3 years. Yeah. And so it just didn't quite come together that way. So.
Okay.
I
Jim?
will comment though, you do a beautiful job of your videos showing the engine room and many of the other modifications you made on Sea Venture. And for those interested, I recommend looking on YouTube and looking them up. And I think they're about 20 minutes to a half hour in length, and they're very, very informative.
We have had a lot of fun with the YouTube videos. We really first started them so that Rosie's dad could see, and our friends and relatives, what in the world it is we do when we disappear for 3 and 4 months at a time on the boat. And then it just kind of grew from there. And now today, to me, it's like our way of giving back. You know, when we first started in 1993 was when we got our first boat that was in a marina, a 30-foot Carver, and we didn't know anything. And so many boaters helped us out along the way, whether it be for 1 minute or 5 minutes or an hour, or gave us ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we bought that boat, and the first thing we did was took off and headed up the west coast of Vancouver Island, because we didn't know that might not be a great idea in a 30-foot. So we just went. But and so, you know, I've always liked sharing and giving back, thinking back to those days. And this is a way to like give back at a broader scale than just someone you meet on the dock. So it's been really
nice.
And it helps us meet a lot of great people.
Yeah,
So that's been really fun too.
Like when you're walking around, do people recognize you?
Sometimes,
they
yeah.
do sometimes.
Like
Yeah.
will you please sign my autograph book?
Well, I don't know if they recognize us. What they recognize is Sea Venture.
Yeah.
Is the boat, right? Because pretty distinctive looking now with its aluminum superstructure.
Yeah.
Couple more questions related from Mark. How short was your shortest stay this winter up in Southeast Alaska, and how cold was your coldest day?
Yeah, so the shortest day, I'll do that one and you do the coldest.
Okay.
It's like the newlywed game.
Yeah, there you go. We had to always lose at that game. The shortest day, I think the sun came up, but you know, it was basically dark till about 8:30 in the morning, and then dark at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
Yep.
The coolest day was probably last week, actually. And it got to 22.
And that's it.
And that is it.
And that's it. But all the locals here are saying, people that live here year round, that normally they've had a long stretch of around 0 and single digits, but not so far this year.
And looking at the extended forecast so far, if we can believe it, it doesn't look like we'll have much cold weather. So it's been pretty remarkably mild, but it has been also super, super stormy as far as windstorms coming through. You know, there was the big press about the millibar low, record low on the 31st of December, I think it was.
Yeah.
And all of that ties into creating multiple windstorms that came in even this far back in the Wrangell area in Southeast Alaska. So we've had our fair share of 30 and 40 knot winds in the marina.
In the marina, we've hit 40 knots of wind. Yeah.
Wow. You've been up there. Have you gotten to know some of the communities and people in the communities and attended any community events?
Well, there's not many community events because of COVID.
Okay.
But we have got to know lots of, you know, Wrangell's a small town. We know every liveaboard here.
Yeah.
And we've got to meet a lot of great commercial fishermen.
Yeah.
So in fact, we just finished a little 2-part, or we finished editing. We've only published part 1 where we got to spend 2 days on a commercial shrimp boat.
Yeah,
doing
I'm
winter
waiting for
shrimping.
part 2. I'm waiting to see what the catch looks like. You really held us right in the,
Oh, you saw that. You saw that.
I did.
That was mostly by default because we ran out of editing time. But,
Yeah.
so we're like, okay, we're gonna have to finish this later.
Yep. But it'll be out. It'll be out Saturday. But,
And then we've met some seiners and other fishermen. The fun thing about being here is, one, you get to know the people in the community, and certainly the people on our dock. But we have some seiners who shared information with us. We have a gentleman who likes to go out and catch Tanner crabs, and then he just come back and cook them and pass them out to people. And we're like, yeah, we'll take some.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to help with where to go fishing, and, oh, are you low on something? Let me help you out. And as far as fish goes, do you want to borrow a car?
Yeah,
They're super friendly about that too, you know?
So I got to say about the car thing, right?
Okay.
Because Wrangell has 6 miles of roads, and like all the towns except for Skagway, you can't leave town in a car. So basically, everybody leaves their keys in the car. That's where everybody keeps their keys. It just is, up in the parking lot.
So far.
And everybody who's here says, just take my car if you need it. So we don't have a car, but we have like 8 cars here in Wrangell that we can draw from. So we can go up in the parking lot and just pick and choose from a friend's car and run into town. And so it's just been a really, really friendly group of people.
Those aren't cars, those are key holders.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So a couple more questions. Alex is wondering, have you ever struck bottom due to tidal changes?
No.
Okay, very good.
How about that? I don't know what the.
But
So
we were
because-
really, really careful about that.
We're-
Whenever
we're-
we go into an anchorage, we're like, how long are we going to stay? What's the high? What's the low? Okay, are we good? You know?
We definitely go through a strategy of making sure that we're good. We've got 2 depth sounders on board. If we go into an anchorage that we're uncertain about or is poorly charted, or like in 2017, we spent on the west coast of Haida Gwaii, no charted depths there, we would launch our tender first, which has a depth sounder in it, and go scope it all out with the tender first.
to
Very
figure out
good.
what- Yeah.
Any precaution you took on the boat when the temperature went down into the 20s?
Yeah, the
Well,
biggest, probably the only one we did was we covered the vents for the engine room to keep it warmer.
We do
And we
have-
did have heat downstairs.
Yeah,
It kept
yeah.
the engine room warm.
So our engine room is heated, so that helps, right? It's not an unheated space. And so otherwise we have a diesel furnace and I think we turned it on in September.
Well, actually, we added it in September.
Yeah.
When we knew that we were going to stay up here and we knew we needed another heat source, and it has been a godsend.
Yep, it's been great.
Nice. You might have touched on this already. Where did you construct the cabinets if you live on the boat?
Good question.
So my son has a 3-car garage in Snohomish, and I made him a deal. I buy the woodworking tools. He provides the space and stores them for me and has access when I'm gone. So
And
so
we
that-
had our slip in Everett. So that was
Yeah.
when we were in our home
we
port
were
of
in
Everett.
Everett and stuff, and had our slip there. So.
This is a question from Jim Dietz. How early do people leave to go from Washington to Alaska? Mid-March, okay?
I think that's probably earlier than a lot of people might go,
I
but
would
I
think
think it's
May.
doable. You know, and I don't think I've said this yet. I've for a long time, 20 years, have said I think the most dangerous thing on a boat is a calendar. So if you can leave mid-March and not have a calendar,
Great.
you're doing great. You're just going to spend some extra time
Because you're going to need weather days.
because
or
you're going to
whatever.
need more weather days and stuff. Yeah. But I
Okay.
think this year you can, now without the cruise ships again this year, depending on how many people want to transit up, it was fantastic cruising this year. There was, if anything, it was a little lonely at times.
Can you access the COVID vaccine in Wrangell from Mark?
We have gotten our first shots.
No.
I have mine. Rosie gets her first shot Monday.
Yeah.
So yes, they seemed well organized, and we got online and got signed up, and they called us, and it's like they contact you on Monday and say, how about Wednesday?
Nice.
Yeah, they were very helpful.
Very good. Landon, there's a few questions about the Nexus Pass and the Roam app. Do you want to handle those?
Yeah, and we typed something in that regarding Rome, I think it was.
Well,
whether you
it
had
only
enough
went to the
Nexus.
panelists. Your answer only went to the panelists, but I could copy and paste and put it for all the attendees.
I'm sorry?
It went to the panelists.
Oh, got it. I didn't have that. So the question was about Roam app and whether you have to have Nexus for it. And our experience is that you do not have to have any trusted traveler. In fact, foreigners can use the Roam app as well. So it's pretty much open to everybody in it. And in our discussions with the with CBP officers, they keep encouraging the use of it. It seems like they really want you to use the Roam app. They would prefer it, in fact. And I don't know about your experience, Jim and Rosie, but ours, we've used it several times and it's great. The only one is be patient after you hit the report button. Sometimes it might take them 10, 15 minutes or more before the app comes back to you again and you're kind of questioning what's going on here. But that was our experience. I don't know about yours, Jim.
Our experience has been great. So our only concern coming up is that as you continue to cross, you have to be close to the border or right at the border to use it. Otherwise, the app says no, it won't let you use it.
Too early.
It's
or
too
far
early.
away, yeah.
And right as you're approaching the border in crossing Dixon entrance is when you begin to lose cell coverage. So it was a combination of the being able to wait long enough to do it, but not so long that you lost cell phone coverage to do it. But they very much encouraged it and liked it. The only odd experience we had was coming back last year, 2019 from Canada. 19. When you let Rosie had to come back early, and I brought the boat back by myself and did it on the Roam app. And as I was by Stewart Island or something, the customs guy said, "Well, where's Rosie?" And so I explained that she had to come back early and said, "I want to make sure you didn't miss anything."
I dumped her overboard.
To make sure
Who's
you
asking?
didn't forget to include her. And then his next question was, "So is this Jim and Rosie from Cruising Sea Venture?"
Wow.
And because it turned out he was a YouTube follower, the
Cool.
customs guy. But they definitely want you to use it. And it is just sweet to do because you just do it on the phone and they can do a video chat, one-way video chat if they want. And just makes it very simple.
Actually, on our way up, we got disconnected and they called us right back. So that still worked. So it was good.
So that's ironic, your story about it was 2019 when we had a similar experience where Lorena needed to come back by float plane and went back home here to take care of some personal business. And I was single-handed bringing the boat back down from up BC area up in the Broughtons. And and I did the same thing. I used Roam, came through, and it was me and the dog. And but they didn't ask about Lorena. They kind of said, "Oh, the dog is there. I guess that's okay." So
Dog was more important.
There's a question here from Alan. I love your YouTube videos. My wife and I would love to live the dream. Do you maintain a land base somewhere? Selling everything and putting all of your money into a boat is not too attractive because we have a huge collection of books and other things and couldn't imagine not keeping them somewhere other than a storage unit. And that also is another question about your budget. Can you cover both of these?
We can, yeah. We do not have a land base. We don't have any moorage anywhere.
And
we no longer have a storage unit. We did when we first sold our home. I think unlike Elizabeth and Sean on Freedom that had a smaller apartment or condo before they moved on the boat, we downsized from a
good sized house.
Big house.
And at one point we had 3 storage units, then 2, then 1. So and now 0.
And now 0. And we've often been asked if we considered ourselves like minimalist, and I don't, Sea Venture is pretty comfortable, I think, to consider yourself a minimalist. But by default, you don't own that much stuff, and that's been surprisingly liberating, even though that was never the intent. I think like Mark mentioned, we don't own a lawnmower, a car, or any of that stuff. It takes 4 minutes to vacuum the entire house, and so it leaves lots of free time, and it's been pretty liberating not to have stuff. that you don't actually use. But
And then
budget wise, yeah, we're not very good at that.
Ha,
We don't.
it's not very fun, is it?
no.
No. I think the best way to describe, I mean, when you take out the boat projects, and if you follow our YouTube channel, we freely share the cost of our upgrades and what we've spent, and it's a lot. But if you take that part out, the cost of living is not very high for being on a boat, you know, because one thing, you don't buy stuff.
Because you have to know where to put it. And
Yeah, if you're out cruising, the moorage is minimal, and if you're not spending your time in ports, then you're not eating out much. And if I mention real quick, if people are thinking of coming up here and wanting to come and stay a winter, one of the things that motivated us was that we were in our moorage in Everett was about $1,250 a month, I think, for a 60-foot slip. Here in Wrangell is $1,950 for a year.
Hmm.
So when we came up, we just got a slip for the year, and then we just took off. We're like, well, if we spend 2 or 3 months there, that's fine. And if we, you know, then we always have a home base, and so that's how we did it for this year.
Awesome.
We're hoping to take off again soon.
Yeah,
but the budget, though, you'd have your regular food, you have fuel, you have
But even fuel's not that much.
well,
really.
for
I
some
mean,
boats it might be more. And then I don't know if there's, you know, boat payment if you have one, the insurance, of course. And then for us, the other issue was health insurance is really
health
health
insurance is really our only
our
huge
biggest
expense. But because we retired in our mid-50s, you know, we're a ways away from Medicare, and so
couple, maybe a rapid fire as we come to the top of the hour. What are your plans for when you leave Alaska?
That's what I was going to ask, Gordon.
Well,
Next year.
the plan here is in about 6 or 8 weeks, here late March, early April, we're going to go north another 500 miles to Prince William Sound. Since we're here for the winter, we can jump off and go up there and spend a couple months.
Yep.
And then we're going to be back in Puget Sound, though, by August for a niece's wedding. So we're going to cruise back probably late July, right in there.
Yep.
To Washington. And then with plans the 1st of September to go ahead and now turn the correct way, make that left turn and head to San Diego and then on to Mexico for next winter.
Okay. Lene's wondering, is it difficult to provision in Southeast Alaska? Do you get Amazon deliveries?
You do.
Oh, yes, you do.
Well,
that's the great news. The not so great news.
No. Amazon Prime, and it's still free.
Yes.
It's the free shipping is still free, and where does it? Amazon Prime is delivered to the side of our boat in the marina.
Ha!
On the boat.
Okay,
but
the caveat is that you need to plan to purchase your Amazon Prime purchases 1 month ahead of time.
Yeah, it takes
because
3
your
or 4
2 days is a month.
Yeah.
Because it goes to Anchorage and it takes some time to get here.
And comes by barge.
Yeah.
But it's still free. And
we do get stuff. So that part's good.
Yeah. And here in Wrangell, as far as regular provisioning, there's 2 big grocery stores and 2 hardware stores and stuff. But we are going to go to Juneau soon because there's Costco.
Getting kind of excited, like Costco, Fred Meyer, Home Depot. Oh my gosh.
And I assume on your dock, you've got plenty of fresh fish from your neighbors?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Well, and
yes, we do.
I enjoy salmon and halibut fishing and crabbing. And so we have a chest freezer on board. So we're still stocked from summer.
Yep. And we have plenty of shrimp now. So
yeah.
All is well. So yeah, and we have people who can give us all kinds of advice on how to catch more if we want to.
Hayden and Lucy say hi. They say they miss you and that they like to see photos of the cats or maybe actually see the kitty cats if they're around.
Okay, well, Hayden, Hayden is our son and Lucy is our daughter-in-law.
Oh.
So let's grab
have your cats ever wandered off?
Oh, Let's get.
There
For
they
the
are.
kids.
Oh, nice.
These are our crewmates. They have been with us since February, and they are just a little over a year old, and they're managing pretty well on the boat.
Yep,
They
yep.
like to get to the dock though a lot, and you saw them
Yes.
exploring in the snow right
I was
there.
going to
So,
ask, have you ever lost them or have they wandered off?
yes.
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 Who are the other boats? Especially fishing boats, it turns out. I don't know why the cats want to go get on every commercial
boat.
fish boat and see if they can explore, but they
Yeah.
do.
So we have to go hunting them down periodically, but for the most part, they're
good.
pretty good. So
So I like the general theme of this because I've told people this for a while. It's one of my dreams one day to spend a winter in Southeast Alaska. But I hadn't really talked to cruisers who had done this. And you have, and obviously you guys are great. You're happy, your videos are terrific, and I think it's possible to live on a budget up there. I'm probably dreaming about that. But it just looks inspiring. And that's part of what we want to do on this show, is to inspire people to leave the dock and go do it.
Yeah, Mark, along those
It's
lines,
completely doable.
there was a question in the chat. Lazina has a 30-foot boat and they want to make it to Glacier Bay. What are any concerns they should be thinking about with the rough waters or protected waters, I should say, in the inside passage piece?
Well, Peter, as you know, I cruise with a 30-foot boat. Now, I haven't been to Glacier Bay, but I don't hesitate to go to Glacier Bay. And I think the thing that most people should know is that the cruise to Alaska, once you decide to go through Canada, you have 2 40-mile open ocean crossings. And you can plan for those with a weather window. And the weather information is so good, you can keep yourself out of trouble. Wouldn't you agree, Jim and Rosie?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, having, like I said, I think before, we used the Iridium Go with Predict Wind. We found it very good. And picking those weather windows, you know, you just depends on how patient you want to be. And, you know, you can do all this and never see rougher water than you see in these pictures the entire way. It's completely doable. You just have to have a little bit of patience, or, you know, if you want to go in a 2-foot chop, you can, or, you know, maybe we're a little nuts sometimes because I actually enjoy the little rougher water. And so I like to test the paravanes out. And so we can go on the outside of Baranof Island and go find some 10 and 12 and 14-foot seas and just have a great time. The cats don't like it is the problem right now, but you can absolutely come up here in a 30-foot boat without any problem. You just have to plan.
Well, yeah, and we know people who've done it in 24-foot sea sports.
Sure.
On the chat line, somebody said they did it, or they know somebody who did it in a 24-foot Maxim. And again, several weeks ago, we had Carl Kruger who did it on a paddleboard.
Yep. I was just going to say, well, you can do it in a paddleboard, right?
Right. Well, we're just about out of time, but this has been inspiring. And again, hats off to you for your ability to pay it forward. I agree in that also, and I love helping people because so many people helped me from some of the dumb mistakes I made in the beginning. So I really appreciate your doing that. And I want to have you back on the show sometime. And
well, sure.
I'd love to do it.
It may have to be from Mexico, maybe before that. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again. And Peter, I think this is about
we want to
wrapping
thank
up.
the Groesbeck Realty Group for sponsoring our affair this evening. Have you been checking in with the Groesbecks? How are they doing?
I need to check in with Jean. You know, she's right around the corner from my office, but
Well, you've been busy. It's okay.
Give her a call.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say hi to Diane Lander. She did some shopping at the Seattle Boat Show. Thanks for that sweet message, Diane. And thanks for being a part of the live stream, which you can see on SeattleBoatShow.com's homepage until at least Sunday. And Diane and I talk about how to stay organized on your boat, how to travel with your boat, and also all the different clubs and associations that she's involved with, as are a lot of you all. So thanks so much for tuning in. I would mention this is Yeah.
Can I mention one more quick thing
Nope,
that
just
I
kidding.
failed to mention in there? One of the critical things that you need on your boat for cruising to Alaska
Oh,
is a Wagoneer.
Oh, there it is. I know.
I not only meant to mention that, I wanted to mention that for many, many years before we
Hold on.
lived
Hold
aboard.
on. Hold that thought.
go ahead, Jim. He's getting
Okay.
it.
For many, many years before we lived aboard, we actually bought 2 Wagoneers every year. So you had one at home for planning and one on the boat.
And we have customers who buy 3 so they could have their 3rd one at the office.
At the office. And I love now that it's spiral bound, because we could make a Saturday Night Live sketch out of the different ways over the years we tried to keep that book open to a certain page. Until we finally just broke the spine on it and let it go for the year, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to mention that that's an important thing, and how valuable it is that it's updated every year.
We
And-
appreciate your
and
comments.
that's current information.
And you'll love the new chapter on Southeast Alaska, which is on its way to you.
Good, great, great.
Love it.
All
Well,
right.
that's episode 34 in the books. That was Saturday Night Live. That was Candace Bergen hosting Saturday Night Live, and musical guest
Wow.
was Frank Zappa. Now,
Wow.
Frank Zappa has a new documentary out. Mark, did you know that?
I
It's
did not.
called-
Peter, you're my source of all this.
Yeah, it's called
great-
Zappa. It's called Zappa. It's available on Amazon Prime for $5.49, and it gets 4.5 out of 5 stars with like 1,800 reviews. And Mark, 1,700 of those were from you.
That's right.
That was the neat part of all that. So thanks to everyone for watching. Mark, what's on store for next week?
We're working on that. That's
You
gonna
got
be-
it. Stay tuned. A little tease. A little tease. Love it.
We're
That's
waiting
right.
to hear the answer.
We
to
can't
that
tell
one,
you
too.
quite yet. We can't tell you
Yeah.
quite right. This is too much. All right. Well, thanks.
Mark,
Thanks
if
everyone
by
for.
Wednesday night you don't
Thank
have
you,
anybody,
Rosy.
give us
Thank
a
you,
call.
Jim.
Thank you.
All right.
See y'all. Good
Bye.
night.
Good
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
night.